Hey, I'm Ryan, and this is Demos in the Deck. So today, Fairfield Circuitry released the Long Life EQ. In addition to that, they released the hors d'oeuvres feedback looper. We're going to focus on the EQ. All right, let us get the Long Life EQ into a mix. I'm going to use it on guitar. I'm going to use it on Rhodes. I'm going to use it on drums. I'm going to use it all over the stinking place. And I said we were going to focus on the Long Life EQ, and we are, but I did manage to sneak in just a little bit of the hors d'oeuvres. Maybe we'll come back to it someday. Take a deeper dive into the Long Life EQ. But first, I am running a Seuf Guitars OH20 into a Fairfield Circuitry Model B, always on overdrive, because that's the thing we're going to shape into a Benson Amps Monarch Reverb. So my bass sounds like this. Okay, so this is very much not your dad's or conservative uncle's EQ. This is a state variable filter with a state variable core with a really wide range that allows you to move about the frequencies. Essentially, it is a one-band parametric EQ with some cool, gritty extras. So how do you do that? You have your frequency knob here, and then you have a Q, which is your quality control, just like on your Mutron. Over to the left, it's going to be softer, and over to the right, it is going to be harsher and more pronounced. You have a gain, which is a positive, negative gain on a band pass, and then you have a tilt knob, which basically moves around the center of the frequency. So this is all very strange, but they all work together to do a very cool thing. Essentially, what you're doing with these controls here is you are changing the response curve. So I'll show you what that means here. With all of these controls turned all the way down, the response curve is very smooth and very easy. It's a very easy and smooth response curve. So when we move the filter dial around, it's going to be a very smooth response. So I'll show you. So you see how that went? We just smooth went around the whole frequency range. And you'll notice that when we went really deep on the frequency knob, it became inaudible. And that is because this thing is EQing everything, not just guitars. You know, like this thing is for everything. So guitar players, keep that in mind. Your frequency range is pretty limited. You can go real deep, and your guitar doesn't make those frequencies. So let's change that frequency curve a little bit, and let's use the Q control and the tilt to put in a nice dip and hump. So that is a very different way to find a frequency. You could hear as we were moving, it was not smooth anymore. Now all of a sudden there was this, and that's cool. So let's take that same dip, let's smooth it out just a little bit, and we'll see what that sounds like. So you see on the dial where we put that just very tiny little dip in there, you can see it was right about here. So instead of a dip, let's move up the Q. Let's pull the tilt back and let's move up the Q, and that's gonna give us a notch. Let's take that same setting. We're gonna add some gain here, and we will up that Q, which will actually go all the way to self-oscillation, which is pretty wild. But so essentially what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that little notch that we created, and we are going to make it into a spike. So there is an expression out on this. You can use an expression pedal, and if you really wanted to go for that like wah sound, this right here is the setting that you want to use. You want that big spike, that you really kind of hit over it so you can get that nice wah sound. Let's try one more. Let's probably smooth it out just a little bit again. And maybe we'll create a little bit of a notch and a little bit of a dip. See what happens. So there you go. That is my best interpretation of how this pedal works. I did have a cheat sheet with me. So, but initially, when I spent the first couple of days with this, I was just, just turning the knobs and seeing what they did and finding sounds that I liked and sweeping that filter knob to get really, really cool, otherworldly kind of sounds. But then again, like we showed there, you can, at the very end, you can kind of pull that thing back. And if you're just looking to sculpt a guitar sound, you can do that. But you can also get really crazy with it and use it kind of as its own instrument. It does have CV in and out. So you can use it with rack mount stuff. You can use it with all kinds of crazy electronic stuff. And it has the frequency range to handle that. This is not just a guitar player thing. I just happen to really only know how to play guitar. So yeah, you pick one of these up, you're gonna spend days with it before you really have kind of wrapped your head around how cool it actually is, because I still feel like I'm figuring it out as I'm filming this. So thank you for being here. I do want to go back and mess with that hors d'oeuvre a little bit. There's still time tonight. Sun's not going to be up for a couple hours.